"You just stepped on my shoe." The words were calm, but the room froze. The man she had just stepped on was not shouting, not angry, not even moving. He simply looked at her with quiet eyes that carried the weight of something far more dangerous than anger. And the next morning, she discovered that man was her new boss. The heel of her shoe pressed down hard against polished leather, and the man she had stepped on slowly looked up from where he stood near the edge of the crowded party hall. Conversations softened around them. Music still played somewhere in the background, but the energy in the room shifted like a sudden change in weather. He spoke softly, almost gently, telling her that she had stepped on his shoe. There was no threat in his voice, yet something about his calm made several people nearby glance away. The young woman quickly stepped back, apologizing under her breath, brushing invisible dust from her dress. She assumed he was just another guest at the company celebration, someone wealthy perhaps, someone proud, but she did not know who he truly was. No one at that party dared explain. By the time she walked away toward the balcony to breathe fresh air, whispers had already begun to spread through the crowd like ripples on dark water. The quiet man she had stepped on was not simply a guest in another world hidden behind polished offices and bright city lights. He was known as a powerful Korean mafia boss whose name moved through the underground like a silent storm. And tomorrow morning, she would learn that he was also the new director of the company where she had just started working. Her name was Mina Park, a woman who carried calm strength in her eyes and exhaustion in the way she moved through crowded rooms. Most people at that party saw only a young office worker trying to make a good impression at her first company event. But Mina carried years of quiet struggle behind her gentle smile. Her father had once served as a soldier stationed near the tense border of their divided country. He had returned home with scars that were not always visible, speaking little about the harsh winters and the endless nights of watching dark hills for danger that never slept. Mina grew up hearing the slow creak of old floorboards at night as her father walked the house when sleep refused to come. She remembered the smell of his worn jacket, the quiet pride in the way he folded the small flag he kept in a wooden box, and the tired warmth in his voice when he told her that dignity was the only thing no one could take if he refused to give it away. When illness took him years later, Mina became the quiet strength of the family, working 2 jobs through college, helping her mother keep the small apartment filled with simple meals and laughter that never lasted long enough. Life had taught her patience. It had taught her humility, but most of all, it had taught her how to stand firm even when the world pushed hard. The company she had joined was one of the fastest-growing tech firms in Seoul, a place filled with sharp suits, bright lights, and quiet competition. Employees moved through hallways like pieces on a silent chessboard, always measuring words and watching alliances. Mina kept to herself, doing her work with steady focus. Yet the morning after the party felt different the moment she stepped into the building. Conversations stopped when she entered the elevator. A few co-workers exchanged uneasy glances. One woman gently asked if Mina had enjoyed the party last night, her voice carrying a strange mix of curiosity and concern. Mina simply nodded. She had no idea that several people had witnessed her accidental step on the polished shoe of the man, who quietly controlled more influence than most executives in the city. When the staff gathered later in the large conference room to meet their new director, the air grew heavy with expectation. The door opened slowly, and the man from the party walked in. Mina felt the world tilt slightly beneath her feet. He wore a dark suit that fit him perfectly, his posture relaxed yet commanding. His face carried the same calm expression she remembered from the night before. No anger, no visible resentment, just quiet observation. The room fell into respectful silence as he introduced himself as Director Han Jae-min. His voice was smooth and controlled, the voice of someone who never needed to raise it to be heard. Mina lowered her gaze, heat rising to her cheeks as the memory of her heel pressing against his shoe flashed through her mind. Around the table, co-workers watched carefully, waiting for tension to explode. Some believed she would be dismissed before lunch. Others expected humiliation, but Director Han simply continued speaking about the future of the company, his eyes occasionally drifting toward Mina with a look that revealed nothing. The silence stretched through the room like a held breath. Days passed, and the quiet tension followed Mina through every hallway. Some colleagues avoided sitting near her. Others whispered that she had unknowingly insulted a man whose name carried weight far beyond corporate walls. Yet Director Han never mentioned the incident. Instead, he watched. He observed how Mina worked late when others left early. He noticed how she helped a struggling intern finish a difficult project without asking for credit. He saw the way she treated cleaning staff with the same respect she offered senior managers. One evening, as most of the building emptied into the fading glow of sunset, Mina remained at her desk organizing files. Director Han walked past and paused briefly. There was a long, quiet moment before he spoke softly, saying that many people feared power, but few understood responsibility. Mina looked up, unsure how to respond. She simply nodded and returned to her work. In that silence, something shifted. What Mina did not know was that Director Han had built his influence through years of watching people reveal their true nature under pressure. The world he came from was not kind. It was a place where loyalty was rare and respect was earned through action rather than words. When she had stepped on his shoe at the party, He had expected the usual reaction he often saw from people who realized who he was: panic, fear, flattery. But Mina had simply apologized like one human to another, unaware of his reputation. That moment had stayed with him. In the weeks that followed, he quietly arranged for her project proposal to reach the board of investors. The presentation she delivered later that month was honest, thoughtful, and filled with practical ideas that many experienced managers had overlooked. When the board approved her proposal, applause filled the conference room. Some employees looked shocked. Others slowly began to understand that the young woman they had underestimated carried strength that could not be measured by titles. Near the end of that meeting, Director Han stood before the room and looked at the team gathered around the long table. His voice carried calm authority as he spoke about leadership. He said that respect does not come from fear, and power without humility is only noise that fades quickly. The room remained silent as his gaze briefly met Mina's. In that quiet moment, the message was clear to everyone watching. The woman who had accidentally stepped on his shoe had not fallen. She had risen, and the man many feared had chosen not revenge, but recognition. Later that evening, as employees left the building, several paused to thank Mina for her help on projects she had quietly supported. The atmosphere in the office felt lighter, as if a hidden tension had finally lifted. Outside, the city lights shimmered across the river like scattered stars. Mina walked home through cool night air, thinking about her father's old words about dignity. She realized that sometimes the strongest power in the room is not the loudest voice, but the calm person who refuses to lose their humanity. And somewhere behind the glass walls of the company tower, Director Han watched the city in silence, knowing that true strength is often revealed in the smallest moments. As her father once said, dignity is the one thing the world cannot steal unless you give it away. If this story moved you, share your thoughts in the comments and tell us where you are watching from. Stories like this remind us that respect and quiet strength still matter in a noisy world. And if you enjoy powerful stories about silent heroes and unexpected justice, subscribe and stay with us for the next story waiting to be told.